Speaking the truth, you don't want to hear. Max Ratt. The truth it might hurt, but will set you free. Max Ratt. Fighting evil without any fear. Max Ratt. The world will trouble we carefully.
Really want to spend the next year on Zoom?
All right, so this is I'm going to introduce my new first new show, which is about germ theory. Welcome to the Max Ratt Deconstruction Zone. I'm here with Justin, and we're going to play some clips, and discuss the crazy germ theory that's been propagated through the media.
Eaten into our
where
brains.
in the basis where COVID came from. And anyway, so this is a show. I don't want to get too into describing every little move we make. Let's just get the show going, and we'll let it flow. So here's the first
Really want
clip.
to spend the next year on Zoom?
Please don't tell the supervisor I have the flu.
I've been working with a shattered pelvis for 3 weeks.
Now, don't be scared.
So
We have been taught
anyway,
for so long.
that's where they start, where the germ theory starts, is believing that you catch disease or sickness from people coughing on you or sneezing on you, and those germs come out through the air and invade and attack your body. And that's the whole basis of germ theory, is that your sickness is coming from outside invaders attacking you. And that's how you're going to see that's built into every single show on television. Keep it going.
Scared. I'm a doctor. Now, don't be scared. I'm a doctor.
We have been taught for so long to blame our troubles on God, on devils, on demons, on the stars, on germs, on viruses, on everything but our own selves, that we don't like to assume responsibility for our conditions, and yet we are responsible.
And then I found natural hygiene. And, once I found natural hygiene, it's like I read the first Herbert Shelton book, and it was just the man, the logic that he puts out there is just undeniable. And so, I just started reading all of his works, and just kind of the rest was history.
That's a girl named Lauren Whiteman, who I found online, who's become an expert over the years studying Herbert Shelton, who's the guy I'm going to use in this show, who refutes all this germ theory nonsense, and had been refuting it for 100 years ago, and it's still in full effect, if not worse than ever. Let's face it. I mean, it's just
They've definitely gained ground.
And the way that you're going to be told that the treatment or the way you fix this germ invasion is by killing them, and you need drugs to kill the germs, and that's your excuse to drug you to death. But none of that stuff's true. And having said that, let me keep this going.
This tour is for scientists that specialize in pandemics. Are you a pandemic specialist?
Your mom died.
So that was just a clip that they're going to try to discredit anybody who's not officially a doctor or an official pandemic specialist. Is Bill Murray on a good clip, actually. This is from Osmosis Jones.
Your mom died because she got sick.
And how do you think you get sick?
Germs.
Mother, get an extra special hug ready. I bought you a new juicer. Good Lord. Flu germs entering every orifice in my head.
I'd like to call to order this secret
So Principal Skinner gets the box from China, or in The Simpsons it was from Osaka, Japan, that the guy coughs in the box, and so now that's how they're going to tell you that's how germs are spread from different countries or different people to different people. Again, no basis in fact in any of that.
And they're penetrating your every orifice.
And it's been disproven outright. But nobody wants, but there's so much. I mean, literally the foundation of the medical profession, which is just so evil. It's crazy. Hold on. And frankly, I believed it too, I guess, for most of my life but it was because I wasn't thinking and I wasn't researching anything or reading anything. I just believed what I was told. And then if you're going to believe what you're told, then you're going to believe what you're told on television, which is germs cause disease.
Yeah, and I mean, we've been programmed to
believe that.
Blind, accept this blind faith in these institutions.
Exactly, for sure.
I'd like to call to order this secret conclave of America's media empires. We're here to come up with the next phony baloney crisis to put Americans back where they belong, in dark rooms glued to their televisions, too terrified to skip the commercials.
Well, I think...
NBC, you are here to listen and not speak. I think we should go with a good old-fashioned public health scare.
Yeah. So they actually tell you that they want you locked up in your house, too scared to do anything. That's exactly what this pandemic thing accomplished, which is crazy to me because I didn't believe it from the beginning, but other people do.
All right, students, shut up.
In Andromeda Strain, they say that, no, that was 12 Monkeys.
Yeah, right.
They say that 5 billion people will die from a virus in 1997.
A false newspaper story.
Hope you feel better, Clark, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Attaboy. We're gonna beat this thing down by Turkey Day.
This is General William Sullivan with an emergency message. I'm speaking to you from a CDC clean zone. Outbreak of the deadly Pandora virus is spreading rapidly. Unprecedented threat requires a worldwide quarantine. All ships must remain at sea until further. Humanity must endure.
A virus? We're stuck on the ship! What should we do?
So Simpsons is predictive programming you from decades ahead of time on these things.
There was a well-equipped laboratory in the building. Dr. McCoy took tissue samples of each of us in an attempt to isolate the organism responsible.
Veritable zoo of bacteria.
Beam down a biocomputer and a portable electronic microscope. If I'm going to be dealing with viruses, I'm going to need better equipment than I have here.
Yes, Doctor.
So they want you to believe that the reason that you're unsophisticated, you're not sophisticated enough to understand these things. So he needs them to beam him down, sophisticated equipment, computers, and electron microscopes. He calls them electronic microscopes.
Right. We can't be having any of that grade school science class equipment when we're dealing with such serious matters.
Yeah. Yes, we need the advanced stuff. and the stuff that the people don't understand, so they're gonna have to take my word for it.
I think we should go with a good old-fashioned public health scare.
A new disease. No one's immune. It's like the summer of the shark, except instead of a shark, it's an epidemic. And instead of summer, it's all the time. That is...
Springfielders are advised to stay tuned for more information if they experience any of the following symptoms: mild thirst, occasional hunger, tiredness at night.
Again, that's something that really grinds my gears is they just list the most common symptoms like sniffles. Oh, it's COVID,
Yeah, it's everything. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's for all of your ills.
That's so simplistic, and why people would, fall for it. They just switch the name, and again, and they're wrong on everything because you don't catch COVID, you don't catch sniffles, you don't. What do you think you get? You really think that you have mucus coming out of your nose because you caught that? You caught mucus coming out of your nose syndrome? No, your body is trying to expel whatever it's trying to get rid of through, and mucus transports that crap out of your body. That's how it's working.
Germs. In the 18th century, no such thing.
Nada, nothing. No one ever imagined such a thing. No sane person anyway.
See, so in 18th century, he's saying that they didn't even know there was no such thing as germs, which is again disinformation. But so because and I've had people tell me, oh, you don't believe in germs, you don't believe in it. I'm not, no, I don't believe in it. It's not about believing in germs. I know for a fact that germs exist, but and you can see that on a regular microscope, not a electron microscope, but the function of the germ that exists has nothing to do with causing disease. It has to do with cleaning up dead material and completing the cycle of life. Basically, that's what the germ's purpose is, and nothing else.
Won't come to this doctor.
But these guys got microscopes 100 years ago, 150 years ago, and they saw germs in an infection, and they said, oh, the germs caused the infection, and that's the equivalent of saying that flies cause a pile of shit. No, they're the result of the disease, not the cause of disease.
Semmelweis comes along. He's trying to convince people, well, other doctors mainly, that there are these teeny tiny invisible bad things called germs that get into your body and make you sick.
So he was saying that Semmelweis was the first one who came up with the germs make you sick, and with this something called bed fever or something that Pasteur kind of stole from Semmelweis. Semmelweis is from Austria, Hungary, and Pasteur, and he came before Pasteur. So Pasteur, who's known for plagiarizing people and copying people's ideas, even if they're wrong, he took that from Semmelweis. Semmelweis was saying that germs were causing the, and uncleanliness. You see, they mix that together. Uncleanliness is certainly a factor in sickness, but that's not necessarily the same thing as a microorganism. That's where. But these people pushing that microorganism, which is the equivalent of the germs of the evil spirits. That's where that's going with that. That's because people that's how people are taught in religion and in wherever they're taught as children to believe these things, and so that's how your brain kind of logically figures these things out, and so you're blaming it on outside invaders rather than taking responsibility for what you did to your own body by putting crap inside.
Step by step, I'm reaching the ultimate conclusion that microbes are the cause of all disease.
That's the Louis Pasteur movie.
We still believe in an outside entity that attacks us and seeks to destroy us. And just as we once attempted to exorcise or cast out evil spirits in order to restore the sick to health, so now we attempt to exorcise or cast out or kill evil germs and evil viruses for the same purpose.
And we're told drugs are used.
Because our criminal disregard of germs and their power to invade the bloodstream is causing a death rate in childbirth alone of 3 out of every 10 mothers.
Again, they're pushing that germs were causing the death of children again, and I'm sure there's a host of causes, but germs were not one of them.
Our drug system originated in the effort to drive out the evil spirits. Our drug system is still being employed in an effort to drive out evil germs.
She's got the germ.
It was COVID related.
Oh, and then this morning.
You had a seizure this morning, Beth. Have you had something like that
She had a
before?
history of seizures?
No.
Allergies, other medical problems?
I think she's
She
allergic
fall
to
recently?
penicillin.
Hit her head in the
No.
shower?
She came back from a trip and she
What about drugs? MDMA? Ecstasy?
No, we don't do that.
Okay, let's get some help.
Beth.
Sir, you have to go.
Let's get a line in her and give me 2 milligrams of Ativan, please.
Pasteur was discovered to be a charlatan 10 years ago when he made ludicrous claims concerning the cause of childbed fever, claims that he was never able to prove.
What is this?
Again, they were talking about how childbed fever, whatever that was caused by germs, and then Semmelweis, Semmelweis had another theory on that, also, and their solution was to boil things, before so you would boil milk before you drank it, you'd boil the instruments before they use them for surgeries. That's, now it's called sterilization. Very little evidence, that if you just washed an instrument off with some water, very clear, very little evidence that would make any difference than boiling it in water. But anyway, that's what's done, because again, we have to push this germ theory, because that's how you sell drugs.
This virus that you're talking, what is this virus that you're talking about?
The virus that torched your throat. The virus that caused those half-inch snot crests. I was just surfing.
Those snot crests were caused by the sneeze, and the sneeze was caused by you.
Oh, yeah? Then how come I saw that viral-looking mother fleeing the scene of the crime? Tell me.
Happy birthday.
They're inside the body, and he's a white blood cell saying that with a black accent, but he's a white blood cell saying that viruses are the cause of disease inside the body also. And the guy says, the other guy, the pill, he's a drug that's inside the body. And he says that it was caused by your sneezing. So the sneeze is a result, again, is a symptom of disease, not the cause of disease. Sneeze does not cause itself. Keep it going. Again, but most people aren't paying attention. They're watching the cartoons, they're watching, and they're downloading information, and they're listening to things, and you don't really put it together. You don't use a critical thinking skills for watching cartoons. That's why all of this stuff is in cartoons.
They flip it into the subconscious.
Yes, that's that's how it enters, rather than through the conscious thought of analyzing things.
Right.
It's kind of slipped in the back door.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Let's take a cold. You take it. I don't want it. I used to hear people say, I'm catching more cold every minute. What they really meant, only they didn't know what they meant, was that their symptoms were going a little worse. They were sneezing more. Their nose was running more. Their throat was becoming a little more irritated and raw. They weren't catching anything. As a matter of fact, they were getting rid of something. And it was a little too hot and feverish to justify calling it a cold. Think of all the stuff that was leaking out through the mucous membranes of the mouth and nose. And they said they were catching it. They didn't catch it, except in the same sense that a dog catches it when you toss a bone at him. They had been overeating, and they had been enervating themselves, so that their elimination was impaired. And they had developed a toxic condition. And a process of vicarious elimination had been instituted to get rid of the excess load. And this thing they call the cold.
That's just Shelton's rather sophisticated explanation of how your body really works. And your body is eliminating toxicity, and that's by runny nose and diarrhea and coughing and sneezing, and it's always expelling toxins that way. And that's what we're told is we caught something. He's saying we actually didn't catch it, we're getting rid of it. And what we got rid of is not something that flew in from nowhere. That stuff is what you put in your body when you eat bad food or take drugs.
Evidently, through some miscalculation, this virus annihilated the entire adult population in a very short period, leaving only the children.
We will learn to our surprise that more than half of the population of the world today still believes that evil spirits are the cause of disease. We don't believe that anymore. Today we are taught not that evil spirits cause our diseases, but that evil germs and evil viruses attack us. And these are the causes. So actually the fundamental conception of disease and of its causation that is held by the so-called scientific world today does not differ in any essential particular from the fundamental conception of disease that we inherited from the caveman.
Hey,
Yeah.
mind?
So
You're supposed to wear your mask over your nose. Looks like you're wearing a diaper for your...
It's the outside invader theory again, that that was basically held by the caveman that it was an outside evil spirits invaders. But now,
Right.
then it was just changed to invisible virus invaders that nobody's ever seen or
Right. They just rebranded the same old concept.
Yeah, exactly. Which is what they do with everything like that. Yes.
Yeah.
Just updated the brand. That's all. It's like new Coke.
Chin diapers don't help.
The word virus.
Play it one more time.
Hey,
We will learn to our.
hey, do you people mind? You're supposed to wear your mask over your nose. It looks like you're wearing a diaper for your chin. Chin diapers don't help.
The word virus.
I've been stopped in my building when people like, will you put it over? And there was one point where I would put it over my chin just because I like getting on, and people were stopping me, telling me, no, you have to put it over your nose. And then I would just take it off altogether. That was just, that was insanity.
I can't believe, like at my job, the people that come into my store, there is like, I would say like at least a third of the customers coming in are wearing fucking masks still.
Right.
Yeah.
So they've never even considered why asking any questions about why would you do that? Or, I mean, again, even if it is a submicroscopic organism and if you're sucking air through that mask, then you're sucking the microscopic organisms in through the mask as well. But anyway, that's ridiculous. And it didn't matter what kind of mask. It could be an old sock or something, as long as you had something covering your nose and mouth. I mean, there was no criteria for what.
Right.
Again, it's so low intellect. It's like a childlike intellect of how to figure things out. That's not prevention of any kind whatsoever. It's just not. And it's just propagating a fraud is what it is, which is despicable if you ask me. Keep it going.
Mm-hmm.
More Herbert Shelton.
The word virus in Latin, in Greek, in French, in Sanskrit, and in English means poison. Within recent years, the word has been appropriated by the medical profession and applied to a submicroscopic form of life.
And again, you can verify that stuff for yourself. You can look in old dictionaries from 100 years ago. They're available. You can find it online even, and you'll see that virus. And you can look up different languages, and you can see that what he says is true. That virus had a one-word answer in the dictionary in 1910. It said virus. The next word was the answer was poison in the dictionary. Nothing else. And then it started evolving into a poison created inside the body, and then it was created outside the body, and then it was airborne, and believe me, that's you could see in the historic writings about disease and about things that where it came about in like the 1930s with a guy named Thomas Rivers from the Rockefeller Biogenetics Institute or something like that on York Avenue, and that's where they make up fake diseases basically. Keep it going. Here, play that one more time.
The word virus in Latin, in Greek, in French, in Sanskrit, and in English means poison. Within recent years, the word has been appropriated by the medical profession and applied to a submicroscopic form of life.
All right, children, welcome back to class. I'm your new teacher, Detective Harris, and this is our homeroom teacher's assistant, Officer Johnson.
Hey, Dad, this came for you in the mail. Woohoo!
And you? The disease doesn't seem to be interested in you.
I am a carrier. Whatever happens, I can't go back to the ship. And I do want to go back to the ship.
So that's just building this whole idea that there's asymptomatic and there's carriers versus there's infected versus they're infected but they don't have symptoms, asymptomatic. There's all kinds of categories of nonsense, basically.
The U.S. Army and the CDC report that the virus which has struck this Northern California town is being contained while they search for answers.
I know what.
But containing the virus means locking down the people. Again, it's very twisted, but that's how, because you're blaming the people on the spread of a virus, or you're blaming a bat, and we're going to go into that.
China's like I know what China's like. Doesn't surprise me. All this shit came from there. Oh, hey, if you're gonna come any closer, would you mind wearing a, chin diaper? Oh, sorry.
My wife makes me take off my clothes in the garage, then she leaves out a bucket of warm water and some soap, and then she douses everything in hand sanitizer after I leave. I mean, she's overreacting, right?
Not really. And stop touching your face, Dave.
How do we know that bacteria are not harmful? How do we know they do not do their deadly work that Pasteur claims?
You heard what the scientist said. Get your diaper up over your mustache area. I'm not wearing a damn diaper over my nose.
Don't you care about people?
Wow. Oh, yeah.
So we've got our deadly disease. Now we just have to blame it on something that's in every household, something that people are a little bit afraid of already. House cat flu is coming, people. The Center for Disease Disinformation predicts with some degree of probability that the house cat flu might spread in the following hypothetical outbreak pattern. So petter beware, that warm body on your lap just might be ready to destroy your tender victuals.
Jesus, Robert, did it jump? Is it airborne?
But we only go to Aunt Sarah's in the summer.
It may be.
Oh my God.
Did it jump species? That's what she's talking about. Is it airborne? Is it both? Those are both buzz phrases for viruses. They jump species. You get it from a dog or a cat.
Please refresh the page to hear the sounds.
Oh no, shit.
Please refresh the page to hear the sounds. Please refresh the page to hear the sounds.
What happened?
Who's that?
Sorry. I went to hit my soundboard and it messed up.
I love kids jumping on my lap.
Okay.
All right.
Jesus, Robert, did it jump? Is it airborne?
But we only go to Aunt Sarah's in the summer.
It may be.
Oh my God.
What we still don't understand is, how did a transmitted disease get from a bat to a human? How can a virus jump species like that? We just don't know.
It's going airborne.
We've pinpointed the virus to a certain bat in Wuhan. A bat in Wuhan?
That's not a bit funny.
Scientists are racing to figure out how humans contracted the new virus. Based on initial genetic testing and past outbreaks, they say it's likely the coronavirus originated in bats.
Yes, we've been able to trace the virus and confirm that it did in fact come from a seedy part of China.
Coronaviruses are a type of virus that can spread from animals to humans and cause diseases like SARS and MERS. The latest coronavirus outbreak started in Wuhan, China.
It might happen. Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
It's very likely that this virus has come from bats.
Bats? Again, we're out. I mean, that's just some guy saying that. He's not showing any evidence of how. It's just likely. It might, we get a feeling coming from bats. But no, there's no basis in any of that. And again, that's implying that the virus is some microorganism that flies through the air and attacks you. It's just crazy nonsense.
Have lots of viruses.
To the bat poles.
It might happen. Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
It's very likely that this virus has come from bats. Bats have lots of viruses.
To the bat poles.
Do you remember when we fucked that bat in Wuhan? I fucked a lot of bats!
In other words, you have no grounds for making such a prediction? Grounds? proof? No, not yet. I didn't think so.
What the?
The dreaded Osaka flu has hit Springfield with over 300 cases now reported.
All I'm saying is that we can't let some dirty virus from China completely upend our lives and shut us down.
Yo, you could be spreading germs.
And stay away from other people. You understand? Keep your distance from other people now.
You got 19 dead, you got hundreds more infected, and it's spreading like a brush fire. You got to isolate the sick, and I mean really isolate them, Billy. We got to get everybody else back into the houses. We got to keep them there. We're doing that, Sam.
Just training you, conditioning you.
What was it? We don't always
It's all
know.
good now, right?
And some people get a disease and live. Some get sicker and die.
The question that's on everybody's mind is...
That's the doctor saying we don't know what it is, and just, you know, just if it happens, it happens. Tough.
Yeah.
The question that's on everybody's mind is...
So now,
does it
so we
work?
established that there's this virus disease that flows through the air and you catch it, and now we're gonna be offered the solution, which is going to be a vaccine to kill the virus.
Originally, it was thought that cowpox.
The question that's on everybody's mind is, how does it work?
Originally, it was thought that cowpox, the pus from cowpox sores, would prevent smallpox. But cowpox is such a rare disease that they could not keep a supply of vaccine on hand because they didn't have enough sick cows to get enough pus from. So they devised the present method of taking pus from smallpox patients and using it with which to infect the cow. They shave a place about a foot square on the underside of her abdomen. They make about 100 incisions in that shaved place. They rub pus from smallpox patients into those incisions. They tie up the cow so that she cannot lick those incisions or sores that follow. They fester or they separate. Large quantities of pus are formed. They take the cow down after a certain time and take out all of that pus. They run it through what is called a defibrinator to take out all the particles of flesh and scab and hair and so forth that may get into it. So what they call pure lymph turns out to be nothing but pus. They mix it with glycerine and send it out over the country to put into your arms and the arms of your children on the theory that it will prevent smallpox. Vaccine comes from the Latin vacca, V-A-C-C-A, meaning cow. I believe that is still the Italian word for cow.
We're convinced, Doctor, after 8 years of experimenting, that this vaccine, when injected into the animal, will set up an immunity.
Ridiculous. Oh. Why do you think the symptoms haven't appeared on Mr. Spock?
I don't know. Probably the little bugs or whatever they are have no appetite for green blood.
So he's immune. This is the whole immune.
But exactly how do they work? Well, they connect to the human immune system, which is itself really phenomenal. So when a germ gets inside and attacks your body, the immune system sees unusual foreign shapes on the surface. And then special cells in your body called white blood cells create antibodies that connect up. Then the immune system knows to go and kill this foreign object. The idea of the vaccine is instead of having to get sick the first time to develop this immunity, we take something that looks like a foreign bug, teach the immune system the shape of this foreign object so it's ready to attack with antibodies very, very quickly when the real bug shows up. So you can avoid lots of diseases.
So they're teaching your immune system by what? Injecting chemicals into you? That's ridiculous.
You've been properly vaccinated.
Yes,
Now,
he's
hold on, wait,
infuriating,
pause
sir.
for a
How can
second.
you stand it?
I mean, so in reality, though, what they're doing is destroying your own immune system from doing what it naturally does, right?
If you want to call your immune system your cleaning system, you know,
Yeah. Sure.
And so you're not destroying it; you're poisoning it. The system. Yes, people can be poisoned. That poison is the way to kill people. Simple as that. That's how people ultimately die, is from poisoning themselves to death, you know, in all regards. Even, I guess, unless, except for, you know, serious injury or something like that. But anyway, let me just finish this up.
Yeah.
Like a foreign bug, teach the immune system the shape of this foreign object so it's ready to attack with antibodies very, very quickly when the real bug shows up, so you can avoid lots of diseases if you've been properly vaccinated.
Yes, he's infuriating, sir. How can you stand it?
He was well aware of the early vaccine failures. The first attempt with an inactivated polio vaccine killed kids.
You will be told and are being told that the vaccine is safe. There is no such thing as a safe vaccine. It is not even safe to inoculate distilled water into the human body.
Truer words were never spoken.
Hey, that's a virus. We should arrest him.
No, man, that used to be a virus. Now he's on our side. Let's chill. He's a flu shot.
You have to let in people with health issues first. I am a chain smoker, and my wife is 39 pounds overweight.
I have a compromised immune system.
This is the vaccine. It's what the computers will tell us.
Without them, it could be a beaker full of death.
If you can isolate that virus, you'll be able to develop a vaccine.
Our serums and vaccines were originally employed. I know it is a common thought that serums and vaccines represent modern developments. Perhaps it will come as a surprise to you to learn that they were using serums and vaccines 3,000 years ago. That it's primitive, so-called primitive medicine men in savage tribes used serums and vaccines long before Jenner's vaccine was ever invented. They're not modern, and the original use of them was to placate the gods and to drive out the devils.
I deny that microbes can be the cause of rabies or any other disease.
There are no safe vaccines.
That was the guy who was his Pasteur's rival in the movie. He was right, but they twist what he says into it, or he has a misconceptions that they put in there that misguide you as well.
And there are no safe serums. There are no safe vaccines, and there are no safe serums. And anyone who will take the trouble to study the history and the pathology of serums and vaccines will know that what I'm telling you is absolute truth.
We have an anti-serum. As we speak, it's being administered. Every infected person in Cedar Creek within a matter of hours will have their dosage, so you must abort the mission.
The necessity for the correction and removal of cause as the first step in the recovery of health. Instead of treatment, instead of searching for so-called cures, and I might point out here that the medical profession has discovered millions of cures in the little more than 3,000 years that it has been in existence. And today it does not have a single cure for a single so-called disease with which man suffers.
It's always darkest before the dawn, Robin.
They say the French and Americans have a cure. They're manufacturing it in secret. WHO knows, but they're in bed with the Americans.
Who says?
The internet.
The internet, and you believe it?
Why, the only cure is bed rest. Anything I give you would only be a placebo.
Where did we get these placebos?
Maybe there's some in this truck.
I'm not really that kind of doctor, Roger.
What am I, a schmuck on wheels?
Right now we are facing a move or a program that is intended to vaccinate 1 million children in this country this summer. The program is already in operation. Children are being vaccinated now with a vaccine, which it is hoped
you don't need to know where he stands.
Will prevent polio. In other words, what is going on now is a vast experiment using children as guinea pigs. Babies and children are being used as guinea pigs.
So this is a brilliant man from from 60, 70 years ago, totally educated and written 50 books. And he says, and he's going to tell you that there's no such thing as a safe vaccine, and that all of it is dangerous for, and they're using children's guinea pigs, and his stuff has been buried. Period. So here's the real voice of truth, and you can see how far away it is from reality. Nobody knows who he is or what he said.
Vaccine comes from the Latin vacca, V-A-C-C-A, meaning cow. I believe that is still the Italian word for cow. We still believe in an outside entity that attacks us and seeks to destroy us. And just as we once attempted to exorcise or cast out evil spirits in order to restore the sick to health, so now we attempt to exorcise or cast out or kill evil germs and evil viruses for the same purpose.
Only a matter of time before we all go mad. Destroy each other, till the last of us finally destroys himself.
The chimps are infected. They're highly contagious. They've been given an inhibitor.
Infected with what?
In order to cure, you must first understand.
Infected with what?
Rage.
And the other guy says the chimps are infected, and he starts to say in order to cure, and what he's going to go into is this isopathy thing again. He said in order to cure, you need to be injected with a little bit of the virus, and that's how the chimps are infected. So in order for them to make that was what he was starting to say is, but people's minds can add the stuff that's left out, so that's how you're conditioned to understand these things. Anyway, so the guy was about to say that the way you cure people is by injecting them with the product of their own disease, which is the isopathy concept, where the product of disease cures disease, which is totally absurd and nonsensical, never been proven and never will be proven because it doesn't make any sense.
It's working.
Now, so everybody who is infected turns into a superpower zombie. Like 3 different movies or shows, and there's dozens more. Those are the first 3 I found. It was like 3 for 3.
Stop! Look, I can save you. I can help you. You are sick, and I can help you.
So again, this is fantasy. Is there any evidence that this has happened anywhere in the world where the people who get sick turn into superhuman zombies who can fly through the air?
I can fix this. I can save everybody. I can fix it. It's working.
Remember our aim. Find the microbe. Kill the microbe.
These people that you're gonna bomb are not the enemy. We can kill the virus without killing these people.
In 2009, a deadly virus burned through our civilization, pushing humankind to the edge of extinction. Dr. Robert Neville dedicated his life to the discovery of a cure and the restoration of humanity. On September 9th, 2012, at approximately 8:49 p.m., he discovered that cure. And at 8:52, he gave his life to defend it. We are his legacy. This is his legend.
To the Queen.
We have hired all new teachers, okay? These are people who've recently lost their jobs due to recent events and are desperate for work. Okay, so they'll do just about anything.
But are there such creatures? Do they really exist? Your Majesty, microscopic organisms have long been observed. They spring into being of their own accord wherever there's putrid matter or fermentation. They're the result rather than the cause of disease.
Now, I say, instead of searching for cures, the logical thing would be for us to study causes and effects. If we know causes, we can remove them. When we remove causes, effects cease.
There's no guarantee that another so-called biological crisis won't occur again.
Is this it, Batman? Is this the end? If it is, Robin, let's not lose our dignity.